Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Monday, the 30th of August, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Now, you know what? Picture something in your mind. Picture if there was a criminal, a wanted man, the most wanted man in America, or most wanted man in the United Kingdom, or the most wanted man in Australia, because that's where most of my people listen to me. There's in those three countries. Uh, well, if he's outside a police station, but he didn't know it was a police station. And on the other side of the door, he's standing next to the door, there's about 100 cops in there. Big burly cops, muscular, and they're all in there doing their work and stuff, paperwork and everything else. Police station. So he's outside the door there and starts to rain, and he barges in to the police station, kicks the door in to get out of the rain. And he's the most wanted man in the country. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think the police are just going to stand around there and look at him and say, "Oh, well, you want a coffee, Joe? Here, have a cup of coffee." No, he's going to be in handcuffs quicker than he can blink his eyes, They're not going to let him. Anyway, this is what deflation is like. Deflation's on the other side of the door right now. And the feds like the police officers in the police station. Yes, deflation might barge its way in here suddenly. Boom! Knock the door in. Here it is. It's right in your face. We could have a deflationary event with the stock market and everything could just turn over real quick. Quicker than the Fed can react. But what do you think they're going to do once that barges in the door? Now, on the other side of this, if deflation barges in the door, the Fed's there. They're not gonna sit on their hands. Now, on the other side of this coin, is inflation is already here, and what are they doing? Well, we hear a lot of talk and everything, but I see a situation here where if we see any deflation, the Fed's going to fight it with every tool they got, and they got an unlimited money printer. Right? And at the same side of the coin here in all this, we've got inflation already here, and they talk a lot, big talk about fighting it, but we don't see really any action in the police station. It's like if somebody broke into the police station and he wasn't, they didn't mind him being there. They went over and got him a cup of coffee. That's what inflation's like. Inflation's already barged into the police station. The Fed and all of them are aware of it. But they're going over right now and they're getting him a cup of coffee. Here, you want a chair? They're bringing him up a chair to sit in. We don't see this massive, a lot of talk, but don't see any massive fighting against inflation. And all these guys out there, they got this expectations that that the interest rates are going to rise because inflation's here, and that's what always happens when interest rates rise. But we don't see interest rates rising. In fact, they're falling today, guys. They're falling today. Now, in other news, we got a massive hurricane that just hit. Let's get in there and open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. First thing we're going to take a look at is the 9/11 system is offline in Louisiana right now, in that area that's been struck by the hurricane, and there's over 1 million people in that area right now without power. The hurricane, I forecasted it on my other channel, the Delta Report, and when it was still way down in the tropics down there. And it was a nothingness. It was just a tropical disturbance. It was just a few clouds in the air. I did my first forecast on it. And I said it was going to be a doozy. And yes, it was a doozy. Sad to say, And my hopes and wishes go out for those people, poor people in the area of this hurricane who right now don't have any power or anything. And maybe their houses have been damaged or whatever, Desperate situation. Now, in other news, where is it here? The story I'm looking for. Beijing has imposed a 3-hour playtime on all of their teenagers. If you're 18 years of old or younger, that's it. You're not allowed to play video games like all day, every day, all week long, 24/7 anymore. 3 hours a week. That's it. You know, this is going to help to increase productivity among the youth of China. And this is a massive problem over here in the Western world, you know. They're opting out of the real reality, of the real world here. They're opting out and they're focusing their eyes on a screen, and they're spending immense amounts of time on something that takes some, it disconnects them from reality, you know. Now, myself, I think that a teenager should voluntarily turn the off button on. I mean, turn the off button off on the machine and walk away from that thing, because it's just like anything. It's like any addiction, you know. It's very harmful if it's overdone, and an awful lot of teenagers out there overdo these video games. They spend just far too much time in the virtual universe, you know, in the video game, and uh, some of them have actually died. It's hardening their heart, you know, to play for like 24 hours straight on some video game that's not only addictive but extremely it increases their blood pressure and everything else, you know. And some of them have actually died playing these video games. Let's take a look now at the markets. You know, one other thing I want to point out to you guys that I had on the agenda to talk about in today's show. And we're going to focus on silver here and gold. I'm going to tell you guys, this problem that I've been pointing out for the last 6 or 7 years to you guys about how hyperinflation is coming. I've said it so many times, you know, and in the past, there's just a handful of people out there who knew the problem, who saw the problem, saw that the Fed is in a bind, that they're digging themselves into a hole, and the hole's getting deeper and deeper. But it wasn't obvious. The hole was still small back then when I started reporting on this, you know. But it's a problem that's not going to go away. It's like if you're driving down a cul-de-sac or a dead-end street, you know. You're not going to be able to get on the freeway going deeper down into that dead-end street. You got to turn around and come back. You're never going to be able to fix it. This is a problem they can't fix. It's going to, in the end, lead to hyperinflation. We're getting into the final stages of it now where it's really starting to become manifest. So the people out there are starting to see it. Now, when I started preaching about this 6 years ago, nobody out there was seeing it, nothing, you know. Now they're starting to see it. They're starting to say, hey, you know, yeah. And more people are starting to come to a consensus. It's starting to make its way and filter its down into the one solution. The one place that you can really go to preserve your wealth. Gold and silver. Now, I'm not talking about cryptocurrency, and the reason why is because cryptocurrency, you know, it's still in the early adopter phase of it, and it's still, I consider it a very risk-on asset class. And if you're into risk, if you're into gambling, yes, you can make huge profits off of cryptocurrency. But an awful lot of people out there, you know, they're not into gambling their money. Gold and silver, you know, it has costs associated with it. And so it's always going to be worth something. Crypto can go to zero. Zero. It can. It has that possibility. But doesn't mean it will. But gold and silver is never going to go to zero. You're never going to get free gold. You might as well just forget that one. You know what I mean? So it's a more stable place to put your money, but it's also a protection or a hedge against this coming hyperinflation. And you need a protection or hedge because our main source of what everybody out there calls money is the currencies. And they're going to go to zero. Just like cryptocurrency has a possibility of going to zero. These currencies out there are all going to go to zero at once. And this is a really big story in the whole world. Is the whole world has never experienced a worldwide hyperinflation before. Excuse me. The whole world has never experienced a worldwide hyperinflation. It's always been like in one country. And then that country can use currencies from other countries as a means of exchange. When the whole world, all of these currencies go down together, they're going to have to reach out to something. Always, when a country has a hyperinflation, they always reach out to something as a means of exchange to keep commerce going. In this case, with all of the fiat currencies going down simultaneously, there's going to be nothing to reach out to except gold and silver. And because people are going to want the real thing, not no paper short contract, you're not going to be able to buy anything with that. This is going to be a sudden thing where the whole world has to go back to gold and silver. They're forced to, as a means of exchange. And because there's so little available for the entire world, you try to spread it out as a means of exchange for the entire world, this is a pickle. They could see the price of gold and silver going up in their purchasing power by enormous factors, unbelievable factors. Because they could actually become, while the government's trying to sort all this out, when the whole thing melts down suddenly and all of their currencies are all worth nothing, the transfer of wealth could be something like we've never seen before. Because everything is assessed in the value of these fiat currencies. Your house, your car, it's all worth so many dollars. If the dollar's suddenly worth nothing, zero, just try to get your head around that. You have to transfer the wealth of into something else. And this wealth transfer could be so enormous, and it can also cause so much chaos. Mankind has a way of sorting itself through the chaos, and rather quickly, too. Especially when it's an emergency. I don't see any other way around it. Even though it's an unusual situation, it has to happen. Because that's the road we're going down. And, like I said, if they stay the course, and now with these new statements from the Jackson Hole Symposium, from the Fed, Chairman Powell, with these new statements, I see them deciding to stay the course. And if they stay the course, this buys us a bit more time. The hyperinflation will take a little bit longer to get here. And the hyperinflation is all about a consensus with the people all realizing this. What I've been saying for like 6 years, how this is coming. Everybody out there starts to realize it and see it. When everybody sees it, it's going to be too late for you to get gold and silver any longer. It's still a little bit early yet. They all haven't seen it yet. They all don't understand it yet. They all don't understand that the fiat, what they call money, is going to become worthless. When they all start to come to that realization, you try to buy yourself an ounce of silver. You won't be able to. There is a possibility that a lot of that excess flow of liquidity or money that's in the system will start to try to chase after cryptos too. So it could drive that way up as well on the other side. But first, it's going to drive up gold and silver. And so we're going to see gains in gold and silver that are equivalent, if not larger, than the gains we saw in cryptos. The people that are going to be left in the cold are the people that don't have any of these resources out of the dollar. And they're trapped. And they're going to lose as much as the fiat currencies are going to lose. They're going to lose. They're going to lose their everything. Do they own a business or whatever? I mean, they could have a thriving business right now worth $10 million and a nice house and everything else, you know? And it's all just going to go through their fingers like confetti. I mean, it's just... Anyway, let's take a look now. Here's the silver price, $23.98 today, and it has moved nowhere today. It's $23.98. Let's take a look now at gold. Gold is down $5.50 today at $18.11. Now let's take a look at cryptocurrency, and what we're seeing is 2063. It's kind of holding the line. The Bitcoin price is 47,841. Ethereum's 3176. Let's take a look at the Dow today, and it's at 39 points up. It's very likely now that the Jackson Hole meeting's done that it made it much more likely. This Fed speak has come out just recently, this dovish, made it much more likely that we could have a market melt up. And in fact, because there's a hyperinflation, at some point we have to have a market melt up. It's unlimited how high the market could go. You name it, 50,000 for Dow, 100,000, but it's all priced in the currency that is going to zero. And that's why the Dow can melt up. You can have the best performing stock markets in the world in countries that are having a hyperinflation. You know? And this is just another sign of a hyperinflation. And now that they've charted their course, the Fed, looks like that's the course they're charting, is to hold the line. Well, it makes it less likely that we're going to have that big deflationary crash. You know, but like I've told you guys, there's only a window of opportunity here for it to happen. And it ends around March. March of next year. So basically 6 months away, you know. This opportunity for the markets to go into a sudden decline. It's only a window of opportunity. Because once we pass March of next year, the realization is going to start to dawn on everybody out there. It's going to be inflation. And they're going to start to forget all about deflation. And that inflation is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It feeds on itself. It's a loss of confidence in the purchasing power of the people. Lose confidence in the purchasing power of their currencies. And once that really starts to set in place and get going, it's like a flywheel. It's hard to stop it then, you know. It's like once you let a flywheel spin up and it gets up to speed, try to stop it. It's got stored energy. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at the oil price today. Oil price is down 3 cents at 68.71. Move index 57.98. It's down. And you notice the move index has dropped? When the move index drops, it means more stability in the system. And now that they've proven dovish, there's a little bit more stability. It's dropped down from the 60s back into the 50s again, the move index. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing the move index stays down. Charting this course that they're charting right now is going to move the hyperinflation out probably a year further out by just staying the line and staying dovish. If they were to try to tighten and fix this, and try to tighten monetary policy and raise interest rates and everything else, they would just create a crash, and then they'd have to fix the crash with money, and then they'd push us over the edge, and we'd have an instant hyperinflation. We could have hyperinflation in just a few months if they do that. If they chart the course the way they're doing right now, it could be quite a bit longer before we really get into the meat of the hyperinflation. It could be like 24, 36 months from now before we really start to get into it. And meanwhile, what are we going to do until then? Well, right now we're in the acceleration phase. That's the phase where prices are going up rapidly, and faster and faster and faster the prices go up. That's the acceleration phase. That's the first start of a hyperinflation. You have to go through that acceleration phase. It generally lasts like 6 months or a year or whatever. It's not hyperinflation. It's stagflation. It's when the cost of living is creeping up slowly. You know, everything's always costing a little bit more, but it's not real fast. It's not alarming. That's the acceleration phase. Starts to get alarming toward the end of the acceleration phase. Starts to get the prices. You start to get alarmed. I got a little bit alarmed yesterday. So I'm shopping Walmart, you know, and I'm trying to gauge my hyperinflation by the price of T-shirts. Maybe $5 for a T-shirt. So I went in there about a month or two ago, and they were up to $7. Yesterday at $10. So they've doubled in the last 6 months or a year, the price of T-shirts. That's 100% inflation. But I told you guys this is coming. I said, hey, you know, you're going to see the acceleration phase. That was last year, I think I was telling you guys about that. Now it's here. It's exactly like I described it. Well, it's probably toward the end of 2022, we're going to start to see the first signs of hyperinflation. Acceleration phase is going to be deep into the acceleration phase. You're going to be used to the prices going up daily. And we're going to start to enter into the real hyperinflation where you're going to see like the prices going up 10% per day. You're going to think, well, it can't get any worse than that. Oh, yes, it can. It can get up to where the prices are going up like 10,000% per day. You know, I mean, hourly. They're doubling the price on you on everything. The price markers, well, now they get these computerized systems in there, and they don't even have to, it just changes at the register. They don't even have to go and write the price on it anymore. You'll just find out when you go to the register, you know, if you've brought enough money or not. If you got big enough wheelbarrow to carry your money. This is where we're going. I mean, I might as well laugh as cry, but this is where we're going. Have you got your gold and silver? Because this is what you're going to need to eat. Because this old paper currency ain't going to buy you your can of beans. You know, but your gold and silver will keep up with the inflation. More than keep up with it. It's probably going to actually move ahead of the inflation even. So priced in dollars. I'm not even going to begin to try to give you guys a price in dollars of how high gold and silver can go up to. Because the dollar's going to zero, and 1,000,000 times zero is still zero. I mean, it's going to be that bad, you know. Bonds and rates today, we see the bond yields falling today. And it's fairly substantial. U.S. 10-year 0.23. Yeah, they're not going to let these go up. They can't afford to let them go up. So I know an awful lot of people are betting on bond yields going up because we're going into inflation. They're not going to let them go up. 10-year at 1.29 and the U.S. 30-year at 1.9. Now, what else did I have here? Is the U.S. dollar index. And today is at 92.66 on the U.S. dollar index. The dollar's going along basically sideways today, but starting to fall right now a little bit. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. And you guys have a great rest of the afternoon. Bye-bye.